everybody. Welcome into Under the Yard Sports. I'm Eric Hobbs.
And I'm David Woldingen.
And it's time to take a look at Mizzou's next game, this time taking on Tennessee. Before we get into that, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and find us on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter. And David, normally this is when we kind of introduce the team that Mizzou's playing, but if you pay attention at all to the national picture this season, Tennessee needs no introduction, David.
Yeah, they're good. I'm not really looking forward to watching this one, to be honest with you. I know what's coming, and then I don't think it's going to be pretty.
No. Spoiler alert for the predictions there. Stunning, I know. Tennessee 8-1 on the season. Last week they were number one in the first college football playoff rankings. Got housed at Georgia. And then dropped maybe a little further than they expected, down to number 5. So coming off that loss and the rankings, they may feel disrespected. So they may be, double pissed coming into, this game against Missouri. But great news for Mizzou there. David, I think you have to look with Missouri at the offense, specifically EJ Ogar at right guard had been at least kind of effective since he was added to the starting lineup against South Carolina. Went down against Kentucky. Didn't look good. He's out this week, maybe out for the year.
Yeah, that's not great. Especially if you want to try to get a running game going. Once he went down, Mizzou couldn't really run the ball against Kentucky. They really couldn't do a lot against Kentucky, let's face it. They had some things go against their way, calls, things like that in the game. But just the sheer mistakes and everything else with our offensive line, it's not going to be pretty. On the road at Tennessee in front of 105 or 102,000, whatever it is. And they're going to be packed, screaming. It's just not going to be pretty.
No. With Ogar and Ogar out, that means Mitchell Walters is, he's got right guard again. He was the starter, lost his job due to his complete failure to be anything more than a turnstile. But he's back. There's not really much for answers for Missouri. And it's kind of frustrating because during the Carolina game 2 weeks ago, there looked to be adjustments, new guys playing, a lot of different types of plays, quick hitters to where the offensive line wasn't asked to block for that long. And then against Kentucky, the Missouri offense, the play calling, all of the above, just completely reverted, to just the incompetence that we've seen throughout the entire rest of the season.
Yeah, and you can't have that against Tennessee because they're a fast-paced offense. If you can't get any points on the board and take some time off the clock, it only takes them a couple of minutes. We've seen Josh Heupel's offense when he was at Mizzou to score. And when that happens, now you're playing catch up, and there's just no way with this Mizzou offense that you're going to catch up to their offensive power. So one of the things Drink did say over this last week is he's trying to integrate some of the other running backs again because he said he used Cody Schrader too much, and it may have shown against Kentucky. Personally, I think some of that's play calling. And just beating the dead horse, trying to run up the middle every time. But again, we'll see what happens with that. We might see Nate Peat come out more again. He's been out for the last couple of games, not being used much because of his fumbles. They might try some different things again with the running game. Who knows? But the key thing for the offense is to eat some time up and give our defense the rest they need because they're going to be running all over the place with that awesome offense, quite honestly, that Tennessee has.
Don't think it's fair for anyone to expect the Missouri defense to do what they've done throughout the season, because this is the best offense they've faced. It's not fair to expect them to hold Tennessee to 20, 25 points, something like that. I think you have to assume that Tennessee's going to put up 35, 40 points. We saw Kentucky's defense. They're pretty good, right? Well, Tennessee scored 44 on them. So Missouri's defense, good as it is, very realistic that they're giving up 40. So, I mean, let's face it, if Tennessee scores 40, the Missouri's offense isn't capable of doing that against air. But even if they hold them to 30, that's too much for this Missouri offense. So the offense has to figure some way. And there's no reason when Missouri has the ball that in this game, there's no reason to ever snap the ball with more than 5 seconds on the play clock. Shorten this game as much as you possibly can.
While we're talking about that, we might as well transition to the Tennessee offense a little bit.
Yeah.
Look, they got a lot of weapons.
Hendon Hooker's going to be in New York as a Heisman finalist, barring some sort of crazy fall off, right? So that's your obvious starting point. He's only got 2 interceptions on the season, as much as they're throwing the football. 71% completion percentage. That's very good in general, but for as much as they do throw the football, having such a high completion percentage is outstanding.
Well, and not only that, he can run the ball too. He has 355 yards rushing off 91 attempts. So
they got 2 running backs, but after that, those 2, Hendon Hooker's the 3rd leading rusher.
Like, they have every possible weapon that you would want to see Mizzou have, quite honestly. However, the defense has to do what they can to slow them down. I mean, pick your poison, if you will. You have Jalen Hyatt with 970 yards receiving,
14 touchdowns.
Yeah. So you gotta try shut him down, but then you open up some of the other receivers, and like you said, they got 2 running backs who are almost identical, both in body type and rushing yards. So I mean, it's just pick your poison. We know we have a good rush defense, but when you have a quarterback who can run too, you got to stay at home. That allows holes to open up. And at the same time, you got to hope for good coverage downfield in order to get any type of pressure on that quarterback. So I don't see the defense being able to slow Tennessee down much at all.
Yeah, I think you're going to see Chris Abrams-Drain probably lined up on Jalen Hyatt most of the time. We're going to find out if Abrams-Drain really is, that NFL caliber corner that a lot of people seem to think he's turning into. We're going to find out on Saturday. And maybe you're not going to shut down Jalen Hyatt, I don't think. But if you go hold him to, 5-6 catches, 60 yards or something, you live with that, and then you take your chances trying to slow down the run and make somebody else beat you.
So Eric, now tell me a little bit about Tennessee's defense.
Well, so when you look at some of the numbers, it's, I think, a little bit misleading. Tennessee has the 9th best run defense in the country, giving up a little bit less than 100 rushing yards a game. That's very good, obviously. I do think that's a little bit skewed because Tennessee scores so much and they get so far out in front of other teams that those other teams have no choice but to throw the football, therefore not running, right? So I think that skews their run defense number a little bit. You're not going to get to number 9 strictly because of that. It's a good run defense, make no mistake. Same thing applies with the pass defense. Tennessee's pass defense is 127th in the country. So maybe there's a bit of an opportunity there for Missouri. Get Dominic Luther-Burden involved. That said, that number is skewed. The 295.9, I think it is, yards per game they're giving up. Well, it's because those teams are behind. They're having to throw the football the entire second half, right? So, of course, their pass defense on paper is not going to look that good. I don't think they're great to begin with, but they're not one of the worst in the country in terms of talent and ability. So, yeah, as with anything else with this season for Missouri, if the offense is going to move the ball, it's going to have to be through the air. But Brady Cook.
Well, and I want to throw one more thing in there. When Mizzou did move the ball against Kentucky, they were throwing downfield.
Yeah.
Anything they tried to do that was not downfield, in other words, bubble screens, side passes, swing passes, whatever you want to call them, they weren't working. They haven't worked all year.
No.
The only time we've really truly moved the ball downfield is when Brady threw the ball downfield, but he has to be willing to, and Drink has to be willing to call those plays.
Yeah, I think at this point, Tennessee's good enough that if you want to be competitive in this football game, you have to take those chances. And Brady Cook just has to execute throws. We saw in the Kentucky game, wide open receivers just diving all by themselves, having to lay out for a football and still being a yard or two away because Brady Cook just can't throw.
So he has to have a perfect game like he did in South Carolina if Mizzou wants to have any chance. Do I see it happening? Not really. But, I mean, that's what has to happen if they're going to compete. Now, yes. Eric, what do you think is what is going to be your prediction for this game?
Well, we've alluded to it throughout this entire video, right? Tennessee is pissed about losing to Georgia. Tennessee probably pissed about being ranked number 5. Who are they going to take out that anger on? Oh, here comes little old Mizzou. 11 a.m. CBS for some stupid reason. It's going to be ugly. Missouri's defense is going to look as bad as they looked all season, and it's not going to be their fault because the offense is going to do them no favors, and Tennessee's just that good. Final score here for me is going to be 44-9.
Now, I actually think Mizzou's defense will put up a fight in the first half, but I think they're going to get worn out because the offense is going to have a bunch of 3-and-outs. And then once that happens, things are just going to go downhill. Yeah. However, I do agree with one thing. It's not going to be close. I'm going to stick with the standard for Mizzou because they seem to be scoring 17 points in every single one of these Power 5 games. So I'm still giving them 17 points in this game. In the meantime, Tennessee's going to have 45. So I have Tennessee winning this one 45-17.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Missouri has played up to or down to the level of everybody in the SEC. Every SEC game has been a one-score game. So I think this game will break that string.
Yeah. Without a monsoon, that happens every time we seem to play K-State. But anyway, who knows? Maybe we'll be scratching our heads with what the heck just happened moment if Mizzou somehow pulls an upset this weekend. Highly doubt it.
The world will be doing that.
Right. But it would be also awesome. On a little bit of a positive side, Mizzou just had a signing day for basketball. They had the top 25 recruiting class, 3 players coming in, putting us around 23 in the country. On top of that, basketball season's underway, so stay tuned. We'll keep you updated with that, and then we'll start pushing out some Blues videos and their atrocious start to the season.
Yeah.
And then stay tuned because Cardinals awards are coming out, and in the off season for the Cardinals, we'll keep you up to date on any type of move that happens this off season. Under the Arch Sports will keep up with all the sports news of St. Louis. Thank you for watching.